Welcome back. Good to have you along. As always, you're watching Ozarks Tonight. I'm David Oliver. We have certainly seen this week that winter is upon us. Much colder weather has arrived in the Ozarks. That means it won't be long before we're seeing cold weather shelters open up to help our local homeless population. But there's a problem with that this year in terms of the need for volunteers to help man those shelters. We're going to talk right now on the broadcast with Amanda Stadler with Community Partnership of the Ozarks, which helps to administer the Ozarks Alliance to End Homelessness program. Amanda, thanks for joining us here on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So before we get into the need, let's talk about the homeless shelters, the cold weather shelters that you all operate here locally, and tell us again, remind us how those work and when they come into operation.
Yeah, so we work with some great partner agencies and churches here that actually kind of facilitate and run these individual crisis cold weather shelters. We have 2 overnight shelters available in our community for adults, one for women that's hosted at Grace United Methodist Church, and one for men that is hosted at the East Sunshine Church of Christ. And then we also have a third supplemental site at the Veterans Coming Home Center, and they serve as a warming center during the day and kind of the central transportation hub for pickup to the cold weather shelters on the evenings that they are open.
And there's a threshold, if I'm correct, in terms of when those are open. They have to meet a certain temperature criteria, correct?
Right, so the shelters open on given nights during the winter when the overnight forecast is at or below 32 degrees.
Okay, and normally you get volunteers who help you, staff these operations, but we're living in a pandemic right now when a lot of organizations are seeing volunteerism drop off a bit, understandably so. People are perhaps scared to maybe expose themselves to certain situations, and you kind of have a pretty serious need right now to get some volunteers to staff those shelters, right?
Yes, we do. As I mentioned, there are the 2 shelters for adults. They each are staffed overnight by volunteers, and that volunteer need is really just critical for our community right now. As you mentioned, that they're seeing a decreased number of volunteers right now because of the pandemic. Historically, a lot of the volunteers for the cold weather shelters, and I'm sure several other initiatives in our community, fall within that vulnerable category for COVID. And so our shelters are really seeing a decrease in volunteers, and that directly correlates to how they can operate and open. And so that's why we're really reaching out to the community for this ask for overnight volunteers for the shelters. And I'll also add, shelters are really going above and beyond to protect everybody's safety. So the guests and the volunteers with regards to COVID. So they've worked with the health department to implement different cleaning protocols, health screenings before folks get to the door, to really make sure that volunteers and guests that are accessing the shelters do feel safe while they're there.
And one of the ways you're asking for those extra volunteers to step up and try to help out in this time of need is through the Week of Warmth campaign. Tell me about that campaign.
Yeah, so that's a campaign that we created kind of to present this ask to the community in maybe more of a bite-sized way. So the shelters do operate through the whole winter, so that's several months of potential shelter nights. And so through the Week of Warmth campaign, we're really challenging groups, so whether that's civic groups, businesses, faith-based organizations, just to commit to maybe 1 week a month or 1 week over the season to have the volunteer supports in place to staff these shelters overnight.
You know, and that's one of the things in our community is whenever people ask for help, folks usually step up and help. And I would imagine that you probably feel at least good about asking for the help in terms of maybe people are going to answer that call for help.
Definitely. I think we live in a very generous and giving community, and so we're confident that support will come. And I think I'll also add that it's a very tangible way to give back and really make a direct impact on some of the most vulnerable members of our community during these winter months. Just by giving up that one night of sleep, you can really help ensure that dozens of folks have that warm, safe place to stay overnight.
You know, let's say somebody's watching us right now who is themselves COVID vulnerable and can't get out, can't volunteer, but wants to make some kind of contribution. I know that you're talking about volunteerism here, but I would imagine if somebody wanted to make a financial contribution, there's ways they could do that as well.
Yeah, I think the shelters also could use that support as well, of course, and often they use those financial or in-kind donations for other supplies. So whether that's bus passes or hand warmers or other needed items like that as well.
Okay. Amanda, remind us about the website and the phone number for folks to log on to or call if they're interested in perhaps being a part of that Week of Warmth campaign and volunteering at one of our cold weather shelters.
Yeah, individuals or groups can learn more at our website at cpozarks.org/coldweather, or they can call 417-888-2020.
So again, cpozarks.org/coldweather or 888-2020. Amanda, just in closing, make your final pitch to people who are maybe watching us right now who might want to step up and help out, because I think a lot of folks probably are concerned about COVID, but again, we have a lot of protocols in place now we didn't have a year ago, including masks that we all wear everywhere we go these days.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that it's a real critical need that our cold weather shelters are seeing in our community, but it is just a great way to give back for folks. You get a really great impact out of the time that you're giving. And again, the shelters are really going above and beyond to make sure that those environments are safe for everyone, with the social distancing, with masks and screenings before folks get to the shelters.
Okay, well, that's how you can help out if you'd like to help out. You've heard the website there and the phone number as well. We'll have it on our website as well. Amanda Stadler with Community Partnership and the Ozarks Alliance to End Homelessness. I thank you for your time and good luck in the recruitment of those volunteers.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have more Ozarks tonight after this quick break.